Welcome to Everyone Has a Story. Everyone Has a Story at CAN TV, located at 1309 South Wood Street. I absolutely love meeting, interviewing people, and sharing their stories to educate you, my viewers, on such a great platform. So tell a family member, a friend, associate, or organization to tune in. Go to your computer web browser, type in cantv.org, then click on schedule, and then channel 21 to see what date and time Everyone Has a Story comes on CAN TV. I would also like you to visit my website, marcusjonesstory.com, my YouTube channel where you can go click the subscribe button to watch previous episodes of my TV talk show, Everyone Has a Story, and my Facebook page. Today I have a man here I'm most honored to be sitting next to, and in which I'm always happy to see men doing great work for the youth, people, and in the community all over the city of Chicago and beyond. I plan on working with him in the near future on a few projects and helping to combat this violence that's running rampant in the streets of Chicago. He is an author of a book entitled Men on the Inside. He's a public speaker and the founder of Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change, a nonprofit organization committed to helping ex-offenders become productive members of society rather than repeat offenders. And he is also a two-time recipient of the John Dewey Award from the Education Justice Project of the University of Illinois. His work speaks for itself. My viewers, please help me welcome Tyrone Muhammad. It is an honor to have you on my show. I've heard so many great things about you. Thank you for allowing me this interview.
You're welcome, brother. I'm happy to be here, Brother Marcus.
How are you today?
Man, I'm good, man. Still adjusting, but everything is well.
Where did you grow up in Chicago?
Man, Inglewood, 59th and Union, Morgan, Halsted, Sangamon, Peoria, from 63rd Street to 55th, from Ashland to Norm.
So many great people come from the Inglewood neighborhood
Yes,
community, man. What was it like growing up in your younger years?
Well, it was mixed with excitement and sometimes danger. But never did I feel unprotected in my community.
Growing up in the city, we often have to grow up faster than others. You know, like so many of our young men, they go down this the wrong path and find themselves, you know, in a revolving door, in and out of prison.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think so many of our youth are being just so destructive? Because we all know where that goes, where that leads to.
Well, it's I tell you, man, just from observation, the mentors that we had, Brother Marcus, growing up, are not readily available to the youth today. What I mean by that is, though some of the guys we looked up to was often involved with nefarious activity and different means of income, seeking different means of income, they still had a level of integrity, character about themselves. And that seemed to be like oxymoronic, but it's not really, in the sense that when you look at these men as protectors and maintainers of the community, they was that, whether the outside seen it that way or not. So those men always had guidance for me. I know when I was coming out, when I say names like White Cloud, Fluky Stokes, William Diary, And these cats, man, these big guys that people looked up into the community and emulated. And even though they was doing what would be considered corrupt things, they always shared wisdom. So I'm getting an education.
Yeah.
I want to see you out on this corner before school. You see, from the outside looking in, this seemed hypocritical. But today you don't have that.
Yes.
You have young men on every other block. There's a different leader. But we had boundaries. We knew the landmarks when I was growing up. We knew who ran what block, what community, what happened last week, because in most cases never made it outside the community because the cats that was in authority took care of it.
For sure. Why do you think so many young men, want or feel they have to get like recognition to go to the prisons, or from the prisons, going to the prisons, getting recognition, and coming back on the streets?
Going to the prison, I don't know if it was ever like that for us, but I can't really speak to that particular ideal that the youth have today. But when we was growing up, I think the prison, and I think this is probably this partly answers your question, is that most of the gang culture, everything that we find ourselves emulating in the street, derived from the prison. The concepts, the unity, the literature, from men who was in prison, who had nothing but time to study, analyze, reflect, and to craft concepts and ideas that they thought or that they believed would either allow them to have a stronghold over the community, whether in a social way or cultural way, or just a way to develop some form of economics. And having that structure allowed them to profit off of the negativity or the violence in the community. So yeah, I think the prison still in some way, shape or form kind of inform those ideas for young men, because you have a lot of the leaders and a lot of strong-minded men that's never coming home, that's still trapped in those places. And the brothers tend to latch on to those individuals and bring out that mentality back in the streets. So yeah, I think it's a lot of guidance and misguidance that come from the prison industrial complex.
Okay, great. I understand that you got into some trouble.
Yes, sir.
And it landed you being incarcerated for 20 years.
Yeah, without going into too much detail on that, yeah, I did 20 years. I did 40 years. I was sentenced to 40 years for murder at 50%. What that means is that I do half of the 40. In Illinois, I think it's now 85 to 100% in your time now. But back then, when I was in 97, that was 50. I had to do 50% of 40 years. Wow. So yeah, that's a regrettable time, but nonetheless, I've managed to make the best out of.
Right. I can't even imagine the stress of the long days. About you thinking about if you were even gonna come home, brother. You know what I mean? Like, because I was incarcerated myself, and I've seen some horrible things going on up in there.
Yes, sir.
And did you think you were coming home?
No, I didn't. I never planned on coming home. I really didn't, because I was so depressed. The anxiety, the stress levels, just being ashamed, of yourself, and those various feelings that you have, the feeling of aloneness, abandonment, and you say you can't imagine. No, you can't. Just imagine, if you will, being confined to a box for 23 hours a day.
Wow.
Then imagine, if you will, everything you own fits in the box. Then imagine everything you eat come out of a box. And then further imagine the box that the institution itself, the construction, the very structure of prison places a person's mind in. So you have to constantly fight out boxes. in order to maintain your humanity, your dignity, your pride.
So get a view as like a picture. Like what was a typical day from you, from you getting up until you going to bed at night?
So, well, that's two phases. There's the beginning phase. That's the phase I went through when I first arrived at prison, due to being depressed, due to being stressed out about the situation, leaving your family, leaving your loved ones, leaving freedom in general, just being snatched away from you. So that was the stage in my incarceration where I didn't really, my activities was real limited, because I was just trying to find in my mind some sense of reasoning and rationale for what happened to me. So as I started developing my higher consciousness and getting a hold to my ideas and my reason for being and living, a typical day would start like this for me. I would wake up for prayer, 5 in the morning or better. And I would give supplications to Allah, to God. And from there, I would read the Quran and the Bible. I read both books for an hour or two. And then after that, depending on what prison you was in, that was breakfast. You know, you go out to eat what is called breakfast, or you get ready for some other activity. If you was able to go to school, you prepare to go to school. So my days become consumed with school. To date, I've earned 2 associate's degrees, a horticulture certification, a cosmetology certification, a custodial maintenance certification, I said 2 automotive certification, a substance abuse counseling certification, and bachelor's credits from the University of Illinois.
Wow.
So that's when I locked in and said, I'm gonna use this place, I'm gonna use this time to better my condition, my mindset, my mind state, and hopefully be able to use this to help my people and deliver some level of consciousness to the brothers that's coming in and out the prisons once I leave.
So that's how you made it through. Education was your drive.
Education was my escape. It didn't matter whether it was formal education or if it was books like Carter G. Wilson, Haki Amatabuti, Black Man Single, Obsolete, Dangerous. Marcus Garvey, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the thing I focused on the most that allowed me to pretty much endure the madness that is prison.
Wow, brother, wow. We're gonna take a break right now, a short break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk more with Tyrone Muhammad about his first day home, what was his first meal. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You can roll it up. We're back here on Everyone Has a Story. I'm your host, Marcus Vance, and I'm here with Brother Tyrone Muhammad. Before we talk about your first day home, I want to put in something in perspective. How has being incarcerated changed you as a man?
Wow. Okay, let's say this. There's an old adage, I can best describe it like this here. You place a monkey in the cage and you place a pig in the cage. The monkey is no different than the pig. Not that the pig or the monkey isn't clever and quick, but that the monkey has no place to exercise his capability and his talents. So it has been rendered or been placed in the same position as the pig. Though he has ability and can soar and jump and leap, he's confined to a cage with the pig, so really he's not able to use his abilities. So prison has allowed me, and probably to my detriment, I think, in a sense, because time is viewed different for you when you develop a level of consciousness. Yeah. Activity is different. You're more methodical in how you move now with time. time is so valuable, and you start to focus on it more. And it's like irks me when people are late. It irks me when people sleep all day as though they got forever to live. So time allowed me to see that time is short. I lost 2 decades of my life. And I came back out here, and some of the people that I left are doing the same things they was doing or haven't advanced beyond the state or condition that I left them in. So to me, that's like disrespect, and it shows me that, you know, that prison state, my isolation from society and people in general, allowed me to value my life a little different than it was when I first came in, and it also allowed me to see the errors in a lot of our ways in which we, the ways in which we deal with one another and value each other time on this earth. Yeah.
Great. You know, and we were talking even before the interview.
Yes,
and
sir.
I was telling people, you know, you're a good brother. You got a lot of knowledge,
Yes, sir.
and you sharing it, man. And sometimes we get complacent. Some people with all this knowledge and all these skills, they don't want to push it back to the younger generation, man. They just hold on to it, man.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely glad that you sharing your story. And, you know, you wrote your book. You know, we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Yes, sir.
You know, but now, your first day home, brother. What you eat? I want to know what you eat.
Well,
man. Let's go with the first day home.
The first day home, man. Listen, I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I'm staring in space, because to me everything seems so small. Now imagine that. I come out of a cell 12 by 9. That's probably the average cell, and for the 20 years that I was encapsulated in. And I come out, everything seems small. People say, small? Wouldn't it seem big? No, because my mind, I prepared myself for that day of release. So my mind racing towards what I'm seeing, and I'm anxious to get at the world. And from my box, I've already envisioned the world, so it looks small to me, because I'm ready to travel, I'm ready to move, and I'm still confined by parole and all the likes. So I'm just observing the cars that pass and everything that happens. And the only thing I've been a vegetarian since 1990.
Wow. So
even while in prison, I suffered through just avoiding the wrong foods. That was hard. You know, that was a condition that they don't even allot for, because there's no fresh fruits, vegetables on a daily basis. You have to finagle and do what you can to acquire those things. But all I wanted to eat was some onion rings, man.
What? Some
onion rings, brother. All I wanted was some onion rings. I love onion rings.
Okay.
So all I wanted, and there was no onion rings in prison.
Man, so I know your mouth was just watering
for onion rings. I was released so late from prison, which was not normal, because they played with my paperwork, that I had to get onion rings. My first taste of onion ring had to come from White Castle.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
So let me ask you, brother, like, you know, because it was so long ago, and, you know, do you feel out of place, you know, now, you know, because it was 20 years, the neighborhoods changed, the landscapes changed, downtown, everything changed. They got video calling now, you know, and I mean, how
technology is a little difficult. I get frustrated still. You know, my fiance asked me what phone did I want when I came home, and I said I want the best phone out there. Now, she say, well, she inquired about the best phone, so she come back with the Samsung S8. Okay. So now imagine that. I didn't start with the lower models so I can learn the functions. Right. I get thrust into this phone. She has an S7, and it has way more features than that one. So now, my niece took the phone one day and just said she never seen an essay in her life. And just played with it. This is what you got to do. And I felt so embarrassed and dumb.
Oh,
Right,
man,
but I understand it takes time. It's a process. But like I say, my whole thing is trying to move too fast, too quickly. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, but just have the right tools to move in that way. So I think that's my biggest downfall right now.
Okay. Do you have any children?
Yes.
What do you say to them? What do you teach them? About the streets, about life, period, about this world.
Well, my circumstances is real unique. It would probably require a biography, all a biography, just to try to chart that, stage in my life. So my children both are grown. They 24, so you're talking 20, 24, and 26. So they're grown now. And I try not to do too much preaching because I wasn't in my son or my daughter's life. That's a void and a violation. Although I want my son to do the right things, I know I don't want to further alienate him and push him away by being, preachy and judgmental. So he do his thing. If he reach out to me, ask me a question, I would assist him. But it seems like some of the type of guys he run with, seem to be more open to me being they father figure and big homie than he is. So he has to get used to it. It's all right to say, "Pops, I love you." It's okay to say, "Son, I love you." So we still navigating that because I was out of their life for a significant 2 decades. Yeah. They was babies when they was young children when I left. And I'm still trying to find the balance with that. I'm still trying to also embrace my daughter because she probably to me was the one that affected the most by my absence. I think most girls are when it comes to their father.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know you're involved with the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
Did you get involved while you were incarcerated?
No, sir. I became involved in the Nation of Islam in a small way while I was gang banging and in the streets. It's like this, man. For me, when I was gangster disciple, Larry Hoover was my chief. Okay. You understand? So I thought that was the greatest guy in the world. But while in the county, I heard the Minister Farrakhan speak one time. I heard him speak one time from a cassette tape that was circulating in Division 1. I heard that tape one time. And although I had authority on the decks, I was in charge of a lot of guys. When I heard the minister speak one time, called all the guys together and said, "This over with. Wow. I would no longer be killing my people, hurting my people, violating my people, and destroying my people with this. Although the brotherhood is love and is beautiful to me, I have to know that there's something greater and better, man, and we have to transition." Some guys came with me, a few, but it's hard to get guys to convert and come to the truth unless sometime their lives or person depends on them doing so.
For sure. What is the biggest misconception that people have about the minister, Louis Farrakhan?
Oh man, racist. That's what I hear the most. And I guess that assertion came from him making several statements that I would deem true and exact, but that he's racist. And I think it's not necessarily the minister who does himself a disservice. It's not him. It's the ones who claim and say they represent the minister. And what I mean by that is that I'm out in the streets with the young brothers, and young brothers say, "Hey," I ask them, "Let's go see the minister or hear the minister." And they say, "F the minister." Now I have to put in myself, where do that come from? Why do a young brother, why would he say that when he don't even know the minister? And that's the problem. Mm-hmm. So when I put myself and present myself to these young brothers, and I come in the minister's name, or if I'm coming and they questioning me as it relates to my relationship to the minister as a FOI, Fruit of Islam, I have to then stand the criticism and the representation of what it is that these young boys young men are looking to see. So I always come as the one who bearing the knowledge to be at fault, because I'm telling them, it's my fault, young brother. I always come like that, because it's my responsibility to deliver the message to you clearly. It's not the minister's responsibility. The minister is isolated and sheltered from the community for various reasons. And mind you, he probably should be, considering the things, we trying to protect his life and take care of him. But he shouldn't have to, because he have young brothers like myself. So I think the misconception is because they don't see the minister, they believe the minister don't care. And then it's just talk and rhetoric. But when they see me, I have to represent what they looking for in him. And so that's what I try to do, be the message that I bring.
For sure. Shout out to the minister.
Yes, sir, brother. I'm going to ask him, I'm going to send a shout out so he can come on the show, brother. I think he will really enjoy your show.
I hope he can get them on. I hope we can make that happen, bro.
We're going to work on it. We're going to work on it.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about with Tyrone Muhammad, his book, Men on the Inside, and his nonprofit organization, Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We're back with Everyone Has a Story. My guest, Tyrone. He's an outstanding brother who has so much knowledge to offer. Get a copy of his book, Men on the Inside. My hat goes off to you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And I wish you nothing but success. Now your book, Men on the Inside.
Yes, sir.
Is it an autobiography?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's an observational. I call it my sociological discourse on the 13 characters of men that I've observed over the course of 20 years that occupy the space of prison, that occupy that shared space, and how they interact and the things that they do to escape or find relief from that inhumane environment.
How long did it take you to write it?
Well, I have several interviews in there, in the book. I would say over a course of 7 to 8 years to write it.
Wow.
But I put another 2 or 3 years in it because it's observation. I had a book that was probably 1,000 pages.
Wow.
So I had to condense it to 200, and that's like that copy you have up there is actually literally third draft and fourth draft to combine, the final draft combined. So I had to, it's actually like 224 pages, and it's called Men on the Inside, and it can be purchased on lulu.com. That's LULU.com. Tyrone Muhammad, Men on the Inside.
You do have a website as well?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to have that information in the credits when we roll up.
Yes, sir.
Let the viewers know what are some of the things you're working on right now?
Well, my goal is to have my book launch event by February. And in that book launch, I'm also launching for the public to know about it, rather, is my ECCSC, that's Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change. As you mentioned, the non-for-profit, I'm launching that as well. And my publishing company is what I'm working on now, so I can produce all the intellectual property of the brothers that's confined. I left a lot of manuscripts, novels, and movie scripts in prison when I left. So I told the brother, that was my promise to them, that I was gonna create a publishing company that specifically deal with their intellectual abilities. and my music label, record label. You've seen one of the guys I managed, which is Brother Reggie Reg, the comedian.
Very funny brother.
Yes,
Very
Kenny,
funny
the
brother.
Human Orchestra. You know, he does the music with his mouth, the beatboxing.
Okay.
And he's very interesting. You'll be seeing a lot of him, and countless other rappers and singers that I'm working with. Hope to bring Chicago's entertainment to put some what should I say, some dignity and some pride into the music in the entertainment that we present to the people again.
For sure. How can people get involved in that?
Oh man, listen. As far as
all what you're doing,
listen,
if
any questions, people can just email me at Tyrone Muhammad 17@gmail.com. Or man, please give me a call, 708-677-8178. I most definitely will take your call or leave a message, man. I get back to you.
Okay. Well, it's that time. We have come to the end of the show, but I had a great time today. I want to thank everyone who helped me put my show together, from my production team, my sponsorship, people with their donations. I also want to thank the people who always acknowledge and encourage me in the streets, also about my TV talk show. I love doing what I do, speaking in the schools, churches, and different organizations in Chicago and beyond. I want to also thank people who reply to my pics, videos, and motivational quotes I post on Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I love you all, and blessings. Until next time, on Everyone Has a Story, I'm your host, Marcus Jones, and have a great day.